What's up, everybody? This is the Golden Boot Podcast. I'm your host, George Hancock, Vandy Chris, Cody Slavinsky. We're talking Auburn football, and a little bit different. We actually have live viewers in here that are spectating in the background, so appreciate you guys joining us. This is one of our weekly segments that we do in our YouTube. So if you haven't already seen or watched any of our other videos, make sure you follow us on YouTube. On any of our socials down there in the scrolling banner. So we appreciate you guys so much. Let's jump into this thing. Auburn football. Hugh Freeze, whatever, Flying Eagles, whatever you want.
Flying Eagles.
We're going to break them down. We're going to get this thing started. Go ahead and pull up the schedule, and we'll go ahead and knock it out that way.
For sure.
So, starting off with this right here, the Auburn 2024 schedule. So they have, is that Alabama A&M?
It
is.
Is
That what that is?
Yes,
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm bad with logos. It's starting out with Alabama A&M, Cal, New Mexico, Arkansas. Kick off the SEC season, Arkansas, actually in Fayetteville. No, at home. Sorry,
yeah, it's
at
a home
home.
game.
So they'll be in Jordan-Hare. Then Oklahoma right after Arkansas. Then at Georgia right after that.
That sucks.
Got a bye week. Then they got Mizzou. Then they got Kentucky. Then they got Vandy. Then they got another bye week. Then they got ULM, A&M, and closing it out with the Iron Bowl at Alabama. First thoughts on this schedule. Ouch.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, though, there are some positives. Alabama A&M is pretty much a guaranteed win. Louisiana Monroe, pretty much the same thing. I mean, Louisiana Monroe is almost a consensus 134th team in the country.
Yeah.
So you got that going for them. Now, obviously, you're going to have your Alabama game. That game is the biggest wild card on the schedule because it's the Iron Bowl. We saw it last year. Last year is the proof that it doesn't matter how good one team or the other is, you're essentially going to have a close game there always.
Right.
A&M, I'm high on A&M this year. I think that's going to be an interesting game at home, essentially. Vanderbilt, that's actually going to be a fun contest right there. And that is the game that Vandy Chris legitimately has circled on his schedule. Like, he is very pumped up for that game, and rightfully so. At Kentucky is not easy. At Mizzou, the more I look at Mizzou's roster, I'm not that high on them. And then you have the at Georgia. That's a loss. I'm sorry. That's not going to be one of the ones that might beat Georgia right there. Oklahoma at home will be another fun contest for sure. Arkansas, I think that actually will be the first real test for them this year. And I think that's actually going to be a very hard-fought game on both sides of the ball because both teams have a lot to prove this year. And then, honestly, New Mexico, Cal, and Alabama A&M, I actually think those are very winnable for Auburn. I am actually very high on Auburn this year, though, more than I should be. The more that I've looked at their roster of who they actually have, I actually think Auburn could be very dangerous this year.
Keyword is could be.
Exactly.
Chris, what are your thoughts, Chris?
So I do think they handily beat Alabama A&M. Cal, on the other hand, as much as I'm down on Cal, that's a matchup game. And Cal actually matches up with them well. Had they had a kicker last year, Cal would have beaten them.
Yeah.
Auburn's still running Peyton Thorne at quarterback. I'm not impressed. I think Cal pulls the upset in this game.
Wouldn't surprise me.
New Mexico, this is not New Mexico State. This is New Mexico. That's an easy win for Auburn. That's 2-1. I don't think Arkansas is going to challenge them. I think Auburn wins that game. Oklahoma, they come into Jordan-Hare and steal that game. Georgia, they're not beating Georgia.
Nope.
I heard bye week is favored by 4.
Which one? There's
Missouri,
2.
Missouri, I'm not very high on this. I mean, Missouri's going to be good. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they miss Cody Schrader a lot more than what people think. I think this game is going to be reminiscent of 2022 when it was a fumble out of the back of the end zone that won the game. I think it's going to be that close. I think Missouri wins that. At Kentucky, I think Kentucky wins that game. And here's the one I've got circled. People say no way Vanderbilt beats Auburn. And I get why they say it. But I'm just telling you, that's a lazy man's work to say that. What I know is that Vanderbilt brought in the entire coaching staff from New Mexico State, 2/3 of their offensive players from New Mexico State, the team that went into Jordan-Hare last year and beat them 36-8. I have good reason to be confident going into this game. I think Diego Pavia gets it done again. Vanderbilt wins that game. Bye week will be favored by 7 after the Vanderbilt loss. ULM is terrible, might be the worst team in college football. Texas A&M is just better than Auburn. Alabama playing at home. I think they get the job done.
It'd be a close game. It always is, but I think they do get the job done.
So I'm looking at
he's got to do simple
4
math.
wins.
Okay. 4 wins?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So they're going to go 4-8.
Peyton Thorne is not a good quarterback.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination.
I agree with that. I don't think Peyton Thorne gets it done, but I would think Hugh Freeze has some kind of plan as a backup.
And let's not forget, they lost their best running back.
Mm-hmm. They did.
You know, in a horrible situation.
I mean, they have Jarquez Hunter, though.
You got one.
I think he'll do good.
You got to have 2.
Yeah. Since we have some live viewers in here, some of the comments are great. November 2nd, blowout loss for Auburn, 222-0 in favor of Vanderbilt.
I'll take it.
We've got one that says I'm going 7-5. Nate says 5-7 or 6-6 college football purgatory. Somebody else said. So there you go. Kind of a mixed review in our comments tonight or today or whatever time frame you're watching. Tonight for us could be the morning, afternoon, whatever. But I mean, to me, this is a tough one. I agree. I could see 5-7, 6-6. I could see 7-5. There's a lot on this, but I think 5-7, 6-6 is a safe bet. There would be disaster. There would be there'd be a run on Jordan-Hare if they go 4-8.
Yeah.
With all the recruiting hype and everything and just all that stuff, I mean, there would be a run on Hugh Freeze at 4-8. I'm telling you. So I would say a safe bet's probably 6-6. 4-8 would be unbelievable if that happens. I don't see them doing that bad. Auburn fans. I don't see them going that bad either, but I don't see Auburn fans having a fun time at that.
Yeah. So So I will say this though, like looking at the roster, okay.
Mhm.
So this is a big point before I give my actual schedule prediction.
Yeah,
But
go for it.
I mean, on offense, I mean, you have Cam Coleman coming in, you have Perry Thompson coming in. Those are
Yeah.
two stud freshman receivers right there that
Mhm.
I think Cam Coleman will probably see the field before Perry Thompson, if I'm being
Mhm.
honest. But that's not the only guys they brought in. They literally revamped the entire receiving room. So they're bringing in Keandre Lambert Smith from Penn State, who is
Yeah.
a fantastic wide receiver, and he had a great career at Penn State, and he can keep that going at Auburn. I think he could do well. You got Robert Lewis coming in. You have Percy Lewis coming in. I mean, both those guys are studs. I mean, you have Jarquez Hunter at running back. You have Rivaldo Fairweather back at tight end. I mean, the offense has some good pieces there. Offensive line's pretty stout, not going to lie.
Mhm. Mhm.
While I'm not a believer in Peyton Thorne at all, like I just nothing against him. I just not buying it.
Right.
I think that he can do good. You know, they have Walker White coming in as a quarterback this year as a freshman, and he's got some talent. Could actually be a good future quarterback under Hugh Freeze.
Mhm.
But the one thing that people always forget is that no matter what Auburn does offensively, they always have a stupidly stout defense. And I've always believed in their defense. I don't know what it is about them, but they're always just really, really good.
They always play well. Yeah.
But the one thing I hate about their schedule, let me pull this back up real quick,
Go for it.
is the fact that they don't play LSU this year. That's literally like a rival. And now it's not on the schedule. And that makes me sick. I mean, it genuinely does. I love playing Auburn every year because it's just a fun rivalry. But when I look at the roster they have and know the style of coaching that Hugh Freeze does, especially offensively, I'm buying in this year more than I should be.
Mm.
And I actually think the ceiling for this team legitimately is probably 8-4. 9-3 on a lucky day. But I'd say that the floor, though, being realistic, that 4-8 could legitimately happen.
It could happen.
I don't think it will. I really think they will succeed, and I think that they will make a bowl game this year.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to sell out on Auburn because I really think that this team is better than advertised. I do think that some of these games, like I will say that while I do think Oklahoma comes in and beats them, I think
Mm.
that actually will be a fun game. I think
Mhm.
it'll be a really good test for Oklahoma in the SEC. Arkansas game is a toss up for me because I even in our preview show, like we know
Yep.
nothing about that team. Looking at Missouri is one of those teams that the more I look at them, offensively, they have some good pieces there, but they're pretty overhyped. Obviously, I'm bought into Kentucky. I've said it multiple times.
Mhm.
Vanderbilt, I'm very sold on that team this year because they have I feel like Clark Lee did the best job in the offseason that he could have possibly done, not
Mhm.
only in the portal but also in coaching hires. I'm very happy with that. I believe in Mike Elko and Texas A&M this year. They have a really good roster. That being said, can a team turn it around instantly and get on the right path? There's no telling on that one. And then Bama's Bama, but if they're lucky, 9-3 with their losses being Georgia, Oklahoma, and Alabama. If
You're
everything
lucky.
goes right for them.
Yep.
8-4, I would say it would be A&M would probably beat them. But that realistic 5-7 to 7-5 range is probably where I feel the most comfortable. But I've always respected Auburn fans. They've always been good to me. So I got faith in them. I'm not going to say I can't speak bad on them.
There you go.
So
Except for Kenny. He's a piece of shit. But, you know.
So I'm going to pick on something that you said, that they always have a stout defense.
Okay.
Mm.
The 2023 defense gave up 27 points or more 7 times.
They did. They sure did.
That's not a stout defense, especially when you get pushed around by New Mexico State.
That is a very fair point.
Who historically is the worst program in all of college football history.
I mean, but to be fair, I mean, New Mexico State did have a very, very good team last year. I mean, much better than expected.
I mean, you have to give credit to that, Chris, because that entire team naturally is now your team.
Yes.
So you have to at least say that they had a decent team last year.
They had a good team.
Almost everybody is on the Vanderbilt now.
All right, but let's be fair here. So last season, when they allowed at least 27 points, that was on the road against Texas A&M, at home against Georgia, on the road against LSU, at home against Ole Miss, and then they win 3 in a row after that. But then they lose 3 in a row. They lose to New Mexico State, allowing 31, lose to Bama, allowing 27, and then Maryland got 31 on them. But Alabama game 27-24, last minute loss. Okay. And then, which still blows my mind. That game was ridiculous. Ole Miss 28-21, Georgia 27-20. Like, I mean, they were active in these games. Like they legitimately played hard in the games. And at the end of the day, when your offense isn't giving you enough, your defense can only do so much.
Correct.
But you're not wrong, Chris. I will admit that you're not. I mean, their defense because you can't really. There's no excuse for the New Mexico State game. I mean, they straight up just got mollywopped. I mean, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's straight up.
There was no excuse there.
Yeah, I mean, it was extremely weird to see considering what they did the week after.
Yeah,
which still just blows my mind how they would get destroyed by New Mexico State, but yet go in and essentially should have beaten Alabama in that game. Like there's no question. Like Auburn should have won that game in every facet.
Yep.
But
yeah, there it is. So final predictions. Chris, your final prediction was what? 4-8.
4-8.
Cody.
Give me 7-5 to 8-4 range.
I say 6-6. So there you go. So there you have it. It's that's Auburn in a nutshell. If you haven't already, feel free to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. That'll tell you exactly when we're live. We'll keep doing these things because we got to break down the entirety of the SEC. They're going to keep coming, so keep watching. But we appreciate you guys so much for joining us tonight. And I mean, what else can be said? That's Auburn in a nutshell, right? So we appreciate that. All of it. I want to say a special thank you to all of our live viewers tonight. It's a little bit different. You guys get to see a little bit behind the scenes. Thank you for the comments. Chris, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Speaking of the live viewers, we do have a question.
Oh,
how did Auburn use the NIL money? Cody, I think you've done some research on that.
Yes.
I know they're using it well in recruiting right now.
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. They're going hard on the recruiting trail. So essentially, they, obviously this most recent recruiting class, they used it and got some really good wide receivers to come in, and it's really helped them out. But they're using it now, and they're getting some real key pieces to actually build a foundation to actually really grow the team for the future. And I mean, yes, I really think that Hugh Freeze is going to kind of play the transfer portal like Brian Kelly, where it's not going to be we'll just take anybody. It's going to be one of those situations where we're going to be pretty selective of who we take and get pieces that actually fit into what we need versus, hey, let's just go out there and buy every player we can. So I think they're really going to start investing in these high school kids and be ready to see Auburn with these, top 5 to 7 classes in the next couple seasons, if not even better, because
that's right.
They've got the financial backing. There's no question about it. So
right. And rightfully so. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of boosters that are high on Auburn. A lot of alumni that come out of there that spend a lot of money. And once you're an Auburn fan, you don't go back. So they're definitely a loyal fan base. So I absolutely 100% believe that Auburn will fare from that. So we appreciate you guys joining. Like I said, everybody in the lives, we appreciate you guys so much. This will be for anybody watching live. It'll be coming on our YouTube channel, so check it out there. With that being said, for myself, for Vandy Chris, for Cody Slavinsky, this has been the Golden Boot Podcast. Stay golden. We will see you next time.
We are the Golden Boot Podcast.